Good evening. I've seen a few rent-to-rent deals over the last few days and rent-to-rent videos, which just concern me. So I thought that I'll just share my thoughts with you. And if you are somebody that is thinking about doing a rent-to-rent deal, you really 100% need to understand your numbers, because the numbers really are absolutely critical. So a couple of weeks ago I saw a deal sourcer who had got some deals that they were putting out with a sourcing fee for 4-bedroom houses that had already been made HMO compliant, and these were in Birmingham. It's going to be a 4-bedroom HMO with just 1 bathroom, and the rent that the landlord wanted for the property was £1,200 a month. I just can't see how these are ever going to work as a deal, because if I just look at really top line numbers in Birmingham at the moment, it seems that rooms that are not en suite are probably averaging somewhere between 350 to 425, possibly pushing up to 450 if they're really big rooms. But you've still got an issue that they are a 4-bedroom house with just 1 bathroom, and with the current situation, people just don't want to share bathrooms. And we found that through the whole of lockdown. The HMO rooms which went and were more popular were the ones that had got en suites, so people weren't having to share. So if we just look at an HMO room in Birmingham as an average at £400, so for a 4-bed HMO at full occupancy, you're going to be getting £1,600 a month. Out of that, you've got to pay the £1,200 on the rent-to-rent deal, which leaves you with just £400 left over. But out of that £400, you have got to pay gas, water, electric, Wi-Fi, council tax, potentially a cleaner, unless you're going to go in and do the cleaning in the communal areas yourself. And that isn't taken into account any void periods. And in 52 weeks of the year, you are not going to have 100% occupancy. So I just cannot see how that deal was ever going to work. And that's just one deal that I've seen. And then over the weekend, I went out to have a look at a property, met the landlord there, and he's saying to me, yeah, this could be used as a 5-bed HMO. It's not HMO compliant. And he was talking about, okay, so the person that's going to do the rent-to-rent deal, they can make it HMO compliant. They could do all the stuff that they need to. But one of the smallest bedrooms wasn't 6.5 square metres. So that changes it from being a 5-bed HMO to a 4-bed HMO. And even more concerning was that the staircase up into the attic, I don't think will pass building control. The landlord who owned the property had also put in a 2nd bathroom, which is absolutely great. But again, from a rent-to-rent perspective, you're still going to end up with 4 people sharing 2 bathrooms. So you're going to have to factor in some void periods. The rental that was required on this is more sensible. It's sort of like £950 a month, so that's a much more realistic. But again, I still don't think it's going to make profit. But also, I don't know whether or not building control had been called in to sign off all of the new bathroom that had been installed. So again, I think there's lots and lots of issues around people that are putting out rent-to-rent deals, and particularly if you are an investor and you don't have a lot of money, and you've been on a training course and they've said to you, if you don't have a lot of money, rent to rent is a really good starting point. It can be, but it can also be a really big trap if you really don't understand your numbers and you haven't really got your handle on everything to do with running an HMO. So please, if you are thinking about doing a rent-to-rent deal, make sure that you know what your average rents are going to be. Make sure that you understand how much your bills are going to cost you. You need to factor in all of your costs. Don't suddenly in 6 months time suddenly think to yourself, oh, I forgot that cost, and it comes as a shock to you. You need to make sure that you get the insurance right. And as a rent-to-renter, you do need insurance, because what happens if there's a fire in the property and the house is then not, you can't live in the property, you've still got a contract, you've still got to pay the rent on that property, but you're going to have 4 or 5 people that don't have a home that you are going to have to house somewhere else. So you need to make sure that you've got all of your insurances in place. You need to understand and calculate what your void periods are likely to be. So don't go into a rent-to-rent deal blindly thinking it'll all be okay. 9 times out of 10 they don't work. I think you've got to be very, very on the ball and understand everything that you're doing, and then you can make them work. And I do know people who've got big rent-to-rent portfolios. One of my coaching clients I used to work with 2 years ago has got a very, very successful rent-to-rent business, but he understood his numbers and he knew exactly what he was doing, and he knew how he could negotiate with the landlords that he's working with so that it was a win-win for both situations. No matter how desperate you are to get into property and you're thinking that you want to do it on a rent-to-rent basis and you haven't got a lot of money, do not rush into a deal unless you absolutely know 100% that the numbers are going to stack up and it is going to work for you. So that's just my little bit of a sermon today, because I've just been concerned with some stuff I've been seeing on the internet over the last couple of weeks, and I just thought I just want to talk to you about it.